fantasy football fans. It's me, the Fantasy Football Girl, coming at you with another edition of Vlog Times. Well, as you can see, I am wearing my We Will Always Have 1985 hoodie, which means something must have gone terribly awry with my Bears. Yeah, Jay Cutler's thumb. You guys already know what I'm talking about. Thanks! While I'm on the topic, to everyone who reached out to me over Twitter, Facebook, email, I received a lot of sympathy and condolence notes. It's very sweet of all of you, and I appreciated them. I'm gutted, but I'm optimistic upon hearing that he should hopefully return week 17, possibly even week 16. I've got my fingers crossed for that. In the meantime, I've got honey for Haney. What can I say? Something else that I'm sweet on, how about that for a transition, is the X's and Y's podcast, A His and Hers Guide to Fantasy Football. My co-host John Heavens and I are dishing out the fantasy goodness every Wednesday evening. You can check us out on iTunes or at hisandhersfootball.com. Thanks so much, and without further ado, let's get to the bust bombs and bonuses from week 11. If you remember in week 10, Harry Douglas, wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, came into the game to replace Julio Jones, who left with a hamstring injury. Well, in that game against New Orleans, Douglas played quite impressively. In fact, he caught the ball 8 times for 133 yards. Naturally, when it became clear that Jones would not be able to play in week 11 against Tennessee, Harry Douglas became waiver wire gold. Lots of high hopes and expectations for this kid. However, didn't pan out. He was a total bust. In fact, his production was nearly half as much as it was in week 10. He caught the ball 4 times for 51 yards, didn't score. That's it. Total bust. In week 12, he does have a nice matchup against Minnesota. However, I feel like with all of these teams coming back from byes, there's no need to play him unless you're in a 14 or 16 team league. I like Rex Ryan. I think he's funny. I think he's a character. What I don't like, however, is when he says he's going to ground and pound the football and then does neither any grounding nor any pounding. And the reason I don't like it is because it messes with my fantasy team, and I don't like anyone messing with my fantasy team. As you can probably guess, my bomb for week 11 is Sean Green, running back for the New York Jets. This was supposed to be a huge game for Green. He was going to ground and pound, Jets football run all over those Broncos, especially with LaDainian Tomlinson sidelined with a knee injury. Such was not the case. Now, it's not all Green's fault. He did leave the first quarter with a rib injury. While he was actually playing before that, though, he managed to carry the ball 3 times for 10 yards and caught 1 reception for 4 yards. So, yeah, not much, a total bomb. It was Joe McKnight, like anyone saw that coming, who saw most of the action. He carried the ball 16 times for 59 yards and caught 6 receptions for 62 yards. Now, in week 12, the Jets have a nice matchup against the Bills, who are giving up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. So whether Green is back, or LT is back, or they're both back, or neither of them are back, and it's Joe McKnight who gets all of the action, it's definitely a situation you're going to want to keep an eye on. One of the few advantages to having Rex Grossman under center is that he will just lob a ball downfield, and every once in a while, maybe a receiver will catch it. Well, it looks like Jabbar Gaffney is the receiver catching most of those balls. In fact, in the Redskins' overtime loss to Dallas on Sunday, he was targeted by Grossman a team-high 11 times. Of those 11 targets, he caught 7 balls for 115 yards, and he scored a touchdown. Considering Gaffney is only owned in 43% of Yahoo leagues, I would say that's one heck of a bonus. Now, the Redskins will take on the Seattle Seahawks, who in my opinion have an underrated defense in week 12. However, I do believe they can be beaten in the air. So if Santana Moss is still out rehabbing that hand injury, right now we're not quite sure if Moss is going to play in week 12, but if he is still out and you need a flex, I think Gaffney's your guy. She's gonna